Mark Walsh here, Body Yoga Principles, Body Facilitator course, etc. This is a video on comparing types of meditation. So I've been actively involved in meditation on and off for 20 years, more solidly for the last 10, mostly practicing in Theravada tradition, but also a little bit in Tibetan, quite a bit in Zen, other things, more New Agey stuff that's out there. So I had a fairly broad spectrum of meditation experience. And in that time, meditation and mindfulness has become very popular. People know what mindfulness is now, which is great. That's a good thing, mostly. But what's happened is all these types of meditation out there, and nobody knows the difference. Nobody knows how one would choose, for example, what to dedicate oneself to, or the range of possibilities. Part of the problem here is the word meditation doesn't mean one thing. It means a number of things. It could be concentration techniques, awareness techniques, more techniques about visualization, something more like prayer sometimes. What else? Yeah, more emotional regulation, more visualizations. There's different things it could mean, right? So it's different things for different people, and lots of preconceptions, misconceptions, like it's about emptying your mind. No, it's not. So it's still out there. So lots of different types of meditation. I want to go through some of the kind of major ones that are out there, and you can decide like which ones are for you. And sometimes you'll say like, oh, we have to sit in a particular way. Again, like posture, you know, can depend on a lot of things. It depends on what you're trying to build, right? So more broadly, it is concentration meditation. So this would be, for example, focusing on the breath or focusing on the whole body, maybe body scanning. These are two very common types of meditation. Equally, it could be a candle flame, a visual image. It could be an auditory thing like a bell, any of the senses. But the key thing is one's concentrating down. So this in traditional Buddhism was a precursor to more insight meditation. Often today it's used as a kind of calming. That was also part of the original tradition. So often it's like, oh, this is about stress relieving, yeah, or about building that capacity to pay attention. Generally, both of those things can be kind of fruits of that labor. Like anything though, it depends how you're doing it. Yeah, how are you doing it? So these concentration meditations can be useful. Dangerous one, concentration meditation, is actually disembodiment, so losing the rest of the body if you're just focusing on the breath. That's a little discussed one. And all over body scan meditation, I think, can be particularly helpful. Basic basis of being aware of oneself, whether it's one posture, one's emotions, one intuition, whatever, that's all bodily, right? So good basic meditation for many people is a body scan meditation and focusing on the breath. Also like a classic beginners, sometimes counting the breath, for example. Yeah, you can't go too wrong with that. Like first 3 to 5 years of practice, that might just do one of those two or a mixture of those two. Yeah, if you find it hard to focus, to concentrate, what can be helpful is the body scanning, going to whatever's jumping out in the body. That can be helpful. Or focusing on pleasure, as Shinzen Young says. Really nice one if you're sort of finding resistance to meditation. That can be a good kind of focus to focus on. Yeah, the pleasure of things. If the body's difficult to work with, let's say in the case of trauma, focusing on sound or external things may be more helpful. Yeah, if the body's kind of not a safe place as it is for some people. So basic concentration meditations. You'll see those in Zen as well. So Zen can be like just broad awareness, which in ways is the simplest form of meditation, but in some ways is the hardest, actually. It's not necessarily something I'd recommend for beginners. Guided meditations, if you're a beginner as well, can be very good for guided concentration meditations. One of the main ones I'd recommend for beginners, things like Headspace or Buddhify. There's different apps and things out there. Stuff on Insight Time is very good. So yeah, guided meditations. The broad-based meditations like in Dzogchen Chen and certain Zen schools can be a little tricky, but very beautiful in their simplicity. Or you'll see some of those breath concentrations in Zen. Also focusing on the posture is a key thing for Zen, which, you know, if for example, I know someone called Winnie Palmer says that if the breath makes you anxious, focus on the posture. She means the bodily sensations and keeping the posture. That's pretty Zen, actually, though she's not Zen trained. And yeah, that can be very helpful. Zen tends to have quite an austere kind of warrior-like, particularly Rinzai Zen, this very warrior-like quality to it, which has a certain flavor which you might love, might be good for you even if it's hard. Or like someone like me, I'm like, that's the last thing I need, right? Being more rigid, more warrior-like. You can think of that as like earth and fire. Theravada tradition, pretty solid, but maybe a bit less of that sort of warriorness. You know, for example, I meditate in Thai school. There's a slightly more feminine feel to the aesthetic of Thai Buddhism, which you'll see out there. Tibetan Buddhism, lots and lots of visualizations. They use the concentration meditations. They use the heart meditations we'll come on to in a minute. Also lots of like gods and color and visualizations and craziness, and for some people that's great, they love that richness, it keeps them really interested. For other people it's a nightmare, it's too complicated or a bit much, hard to master in one lifetime. So I really respect the Tibetan traditions. It's a huge like powerhouse of knowledge, like just a lot of years and a lot of people, like a quarter of the population of a whole country working on something as a project, So a lot of cool stuff, but also a lot of cultural stuff. The Dalai Lama says he doesn't know what's Tibetan and what's meditation. He literally said that, yeah. So it's difficult to separate out those things. Some people love the cultural stuff, whether it's Japanese Zen or Tibetan Buddhism, or more Hindu types of meditation. They're often using a mantra type meditation in Hindu, which is another form of concentration, focusing on the same thing over and over again, or inquiry based, like who am I, kind of more philosophical. But in any of these things, the cultural thing can be a real because it's cool and it's interesting and it's exotic, but that's also a barrier, because until you get rid of that stuff, not really going to get to the essence of it. So I'd be a little bit careful with getting seduced by foreign cultures, but again, it's a doorway. I get how cool it is. I've been in Dharamsala where all the Tibetans are, and it's super cool. It's interesting, it's colorful, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. So yeah, what have we got? So concentration meditations, could use mantra, could use breath, body, whatever, broad based. And then we have the kind of what could be the heart meditation. So more, these are called the Brahmaviharas in Buddhism. There's Hindu equivalents, other equivalents. Oh, by the way, there's Christian meditation as well, and there's totally secular concentration meditation. So don't feel like you have to be religious to do this. Again, that's a matter of flavor. I did some Christian meditation for a while. It's beautiful, actually. It's beautiful, beautiful Christian mantra, Aramaic, Aramatha. So what was I talking about? Heart-based meditations. So what I noticed when I was doing concentration meditation for a few years is I got very sharp, but I didn't necessarily become a nicer person. Yeah, if the promise of meditation is not just clarity of mind or stress reduction, but actually ethical behavior. Yes, most Buddhist traditions, Hindu traditions would have an ethical guide along, yoga would have an ethical precepts, a guide alongside the meditations. That's nearly always integral. So it's a bit weird just taking mindfulness out, both in order to help us with mindfulness, but also to support it. But you can do meditations which are more interpersonal, I think more relational, more about kindness-based, compassion-based. There's equanimity, there's something called sympathetic joy, which is kind of I think delight meditation is actually a better translation, which is taking delight in other people's happiness. Yeah, compassion, wishing people well when they're suffering, and just the general well-wishing, which could be called friendliness or metta, sometimes it's called. Really, really good, particularly if, like me, you have a bit of a hard edge, or if you're just inclined towards a more relational kind of, heart is a metaphor, but there's heart-based practice, and it can include a mantra type thing, like maybe happy, visualization, body awareness. All those things can be part of that heart-based practice. I highly recommend making that part of your practice. Some people from the beginning, or at least after a little while. Yeah, so there are some of the main types. There's other types of meditation out there, but the concentration, the awareness, the visualizations, there's some of the basic ones. And one might ask, well, how do I decide? Well, what capacity are you trying to build? Is it just like a basic 10 minutes a day stress meditation for someone that works in an office and wants to chill out? Maybe just a body scan, a quick concentration, guided meditation on the breath for 10 minutes. That could be nice. I recommend 10 minutes if you can. You could start off with 1 or 3 minutes if that's too hard. I do that with business groups and military groups I've worked with. So yeah, that might be your aim, right? Or is your aim to get enlightened? Okay, in which case, you need some serious guidance. You're going to be on a program of support with Sangha and community. Is it to be a slightly nicer person? Yeah. Is it to calm down or to wake aliven? Yeah, because for example, if you meditate with your eyes open with a strong, strong posture, visualizing breathing in light, that with your palms up, that's going to wake you up. Eyes closed, palms down, focusing more on the belly, different visualization, think of yourself as a mountain, for example. That's like, even just saying it's calming me down. Yeah, so it's kind of useful. I'm a bit wired today, running around Moscow. So yeah, there's some basics. 10 minutes, probably more than enough. I hope that helps you make some choice. This idea of what am I trying to build? What's my aim? Does the method suit that? Am I attracted on a more intuitive level to the practice? Maybe just Zen just really calls you. something about the Jedi tightrope. That's where the Jedi robes come from, by the way. There's something about the robes, or something about the chanting. Chanting you can think of as a concentration meditation using the breath as well. Maybe something about all that crazy gods and beautiful color of the Tibetans, or the stripped down aesthetic of something else that really appeals to you. So there's an intuitive piece here. I think we can use our logic as well. Maybe it's just a really good group or a good teacher near you. You're almost better off doing like the wrong kind of thing with the right people. Like let's say transcendental meditation, they use a mantra. This idea of paying for it, I think, is bullshit. But there's it's a basic nice mantra practice. Nothing wrong with that. But if there was like really nice people in that community and it was really accessible and you just felt like these are resonant people, I like the place, why not, right? Even if it's maybe not as sophisticated as like a full Theravadan tradition. Oh, you may hear about insight meditation. I should mention that. So this is a kind of term mostly from Theravadan tradition, but you'd also hear it refer specifically to Gwenka type retreats, which I wouldn't recommend for beginners. I think they're far too hardcore. I know a lot of people like them, but certainly for the body and for the mind, way too much for beginners. So I just want to warn people of those a little bit if it's kind of common. But a lot of people love them, so I don't want to badmouth them. I know also they can work for a lot of people. So what am I trying to build? Do I feel called to it? Is the community, is the teachers right? Look at the fruits, right? Like see some people from that school. Like I met a lot of Tibetans when I was there, and they were just beautiful people. I was working with the Dalai Lama's bodyguard, teaching him some Aikido, some trauma work with some of the monks, and just on holiday, like hanging out, people in shops, people in hotels were so nice. They were really caring about my girlfriend at the time when she got ill in this hotel. I just thought, wow, I'm not sure about the practice, logically, but this, in terms of the fruits, like these are some of the nicest people I've ever met. And that made me go, there's definitely something in that tradition, And when I see a Zen teacher, like, I don't know, Ginny Whitelaw is one I was with recently, she's like present, focused. It's like, whoa, okay, she's got something, Like know them by their fruits. So, I hope this helps make sense of the madness of all the modern world, the sweet shop we're in. Last thing I'd say, look around, find what resonates with you, then choose something. Pick a tradition and go for it. 3 to 5 years, good commitment, daily practice, go for it, because that's where you'll get the real results. So enjoy the wonderful feast of meditation in the modern world.